Welcome to the Future Crop Files podcast. I'm Ryan Douglas, and today I'm joined by Joaquin Gonzalez, who is the Chief Expansion Officer of Eleusis Feed. Joaquin, welcome.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Been looking forward to speaking with you. It's a little bit of a different angle from the other interviews I've done on this podcast, and we'll dig into exactly why. But to start off, can you tell us exactly what it is that your company does, what you do?
So yeah, of course, we do hydroponic fodder systems at scale. So we do industrial installations for dairy facilities, equine, institutional agriculture facilities. We work with zoos, everything that goes at scale that we can produce massive amount of feed on site. It's our main business.
Okay, excellent. So it's hydroponic fodder. And is it the same, what you're growing, is it the same across all livestock applications, or is it different, suited for different applications?
Good question. There are a few different applications. So depending upon the farm where you are or the context where the farm is located, it basically the big difference is the grains that you use for this. So for fodder purposes, the best and the more suitable grain that we use is barley, but you can use wheat, you can use oats, you can use sorghum, you can use any type of cereal grain. It's good for fodder purposes, either like corn as well. But what we have found, and in my experience over these 10 years of experience in this industry, is that barley and wheat are the best for these purposes. They sprout faster, and nutritionally speaking, after 7 days cycle and process is where you get the most nutritional facts from it. So depending where you are, I was like, for instance, like farms that are in the north, they have more access to very good barley over there, rather than like some farms over here in the south, Texas, and this area. Wheat, it's better. So depending on where you are, we adjust between those two grains, and that's how we adjust our production.
And so if we go back to the very core of the business idea, why is this important? Why is there demand for hydroponically grown fodder for livestock?
Absolutely. So the idea of producing massive amount of fodder, massive amount of grass, of feed, fresh feed, with a just tiny bit of water and just a little bit of land in a controlled environment, it's what really makes big benefits for the ranchers and in these operations. Sometimes there are some farms where they are struck by a drought, or they depend on outsource hay deliveries, or they depend on the climate and different things. This is the perfect fit for those situations where you release pressure from the land and you are producing fresh feed every single day of the year, no matter what it's going on out there, because the water that you use is just a little bit, like if you compare it to the traditional way of producing alfalfa or different kind of like pastures, we're saving 95 to 99% of water over just that. And same with land. So just to put it in context, like one containerized system, which is 320 square feet footprint, that will produce the same amount of feed of about 30 acres of land.
Wow.
When you think about like the pastures. So imagine that amount of land that you need to irrigate and all these different things to produce that feed. Instead, you can do it inside a container. You can produce the same thing, the same amount over the year.
Interesting. And so, let's talk about maybe the average cattle rancher. Would they be using fodder as a supplement to buying in hay? or is it 100%? It's the primary source of food for their cattle?
Good question. It depends on the animals, right? If you have cattle, cattle need roughage. Cattle need fiber to digest. There are different ingredients of the diet. That's how the rumen works, right? They need fiber. So one of the things that fodder lacks of is fiber. That's why it's super digestible and super rich, and they can absorb it very well. Now, the proportion on how much fodder you give them depends on the goals of the production itself. Like if you have a dairy facility and you want more and you have some health issues and stuff, you can add more fodder from 20 to 30%. Some of them, when you are you have a cow-calf operation and you want more milk and better health for the calves, you're like pushing that to 50% of the diet and so on. Depends on the goal. But normally it goes around 20 to 30% of the whole diet as fed, and that's how they get all the benefits from it.
And so reviewing your website, seeing photographs of this growing system, it looks like the entire mat, or it forms a mat. So you put the seeds into a kind of a growing tray, and when it's ready to harvest, you're taking out the entire mat, which is the root ball and the green part on top. And the livestock eat the whole thing, the roots included?
Everything, the whole plant structure. That's the good thing about fodder as well. Like you have, it's just seeds. So you grab this barley, it goes through a process of pre-germination. So you clean the seeds very well. They start to germinate, and then you put in the trays. You water them once a day with our sub-irrigation system. So the water comes from the bottom, and it starts like growing. And in 6 days over the tray, because it's 1 day on the germination part and 6 days over the trays, and they start to grow. And after 7-day cycle, you have this mat of almost 12 inches of height, where you have the root mass, stem and leaves, everything like it comes out of from this tray, and you give it to the animals. Sometimes you mix it with the rest of the ingredients of the diet. So some people, some ranchers do the TMR, so they mix it and then deliver it. But yeah, they eat the whole thing. And the other benefit of it is just seeds and water. It's nothing else. So we don't use any nutrients, any pesticides, nothing. It's a super clean production and zero waste, which is very awesome. Mm-hmm.
And how much green matter is there above the root base when you harvest it after 6 days, did you say?
The green, what do you mean? Like how much is the weight?
No. Did you say how tall in 6 days? How tall does that reach?
It's about 12 inches.
12 inches in 6 days of growth?
And 7 days of growth. Yeah.
And what's the temperature and humidity range you need to maintain to hit that growth rate?
Typically around 70, 72 degrees of temperature, and humidity 60%, 65. That obviously it's something that really push this seed to actually like sprout faster. And that's why it's very important to control the environment very well inside these facilities. And that's how we do it, and we have the expertise doing that. And we control the environment where we provide the perfect conditions for the seed to sprout as fast as possible and get the biggest yields over 7-day cycle.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting about the nutrients, because I was wondering if you grew it like any other crop, it would need some kind of nutrition eventually. And then if you're harvesting and feeding it directly to the animals, it doesn't pose an immediate risk, but I assume there'd have to be some kind of flushing or cleaning. But without using fertilizer at all, you eliminate that risk or that extra step and that extra input of you never have to buy fertilizer, right?
Right, exactly. And we use just the energy that the seeds comes with, and all that energy of the power of the germination itself. So the seeds, you basically make it sprout, and that will trigger a chain of reactions where include vitamins, enzymes, and stuff like that, where that seed will start to differentiate tissues. So for the root, for the leaves, and everything, and that's why it's important that this time frame of 7 to 8 days, where the nutrients and everything on the plant is super basic, super simple. The animals eat it and they can absorb it right away. They're not like very complex molecules or stuff like that that they can have to digest it and take a long time, right? And yeah, the nutrients, I did a lot of trials with nutrients without them, cleaning the seed with some chemicals and stuff, but actually that is not, that doesn't add anything nutritionally speaking to the plant when you add more stuff to it. So just seeds and potable water, that's what we use.
Oh, that's interesting. So you've run the tests previously. Adding nutrients, does it add any value once you harvest it? But within a 7-day period, even if you added fertilizer, there's no
There's no benefit. I mean, the plant, if you think about it, the plant is so young at that stage that all the tissues are not like even, they're not developed enough in order to absorb nutrients. They're still in that phase of using the seed energy to grow, basically. Mm-hmm.
And so from I'll link your website on the show notes, but from looking at the pictures, it looks very similar to what growers use for microgreens when they're growing crops for human consumption. You're growing it for livestock consumption, but it looks very similar setup.
Yeah, could be. There's a few obviously differences because on microgreens, they typically I've grown microgreens in the past. Obviously,
Okay.
yeah. If you technically, fodder is a microgreen. So normally, if you look around like wheatgrass or barley grass, and they cut it and they do like cold press and they give you shots of it or smoothies, that's basically what it is. Now we don't use any substrate, so it's just seeds, and that's the big difference. So this is just hydroponics. So basically, when you harvest, there's nothing on the tray. Um, on the microgreen side, you use a base of nutrients or you use a base of substrate where the seeds can grow, and then you cut just the top of it. You are not taking advantage of the root section of the plant.
I think part of the beauty is the short life cycle, because the longer something sticks around, the more chance it is to have issues with disease or insects. But in a 6-day period of growing, there's no time for anything to
Correct.
attack it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so, are most of your business is selling these systems, helping people set up these systems and grow these systems successfully. And are the majority of your clients, are they livestock farmers that install this on site, or are there business models where someone could grow this off site and then they're trucking it to their customer who is the livestock farmer?
Good question. Both. So we have both models. Sometimes we offer, obviously the main, what we do as a company is that we get in contact with these clients, these renters that have some issues. They want to, promote the health of the animals, give them something healthy, increase the yields, and get better coats in the horses, like fix stuff like colics and stuff like that. And we work with them in a way that we actually calculate how many animals they have, what are the goals. We really identify what are the pain points of it. And then obviously, one of the things that we do is we are very flexible with our installations. So sometimes our clients, they have a barn, they have a warehouse they can use, or they can use a portion for these purposes. And we can definitely do that, retrofit those spaces and install our system there and start producing fodder. Everything on site is better because what we do, you harvest the fodder and you just give it to the animals directly. that's where you get like the most benefits from it. You can hold it, you can dehydrate it, you can do different things with the actual like feed or the fresh feed, but it's better to have it on site. Some people, and I'm working with a couple of clients where they are like getting together with neighbors in a very ag area, and they are putting together a fodder hub. And this means that they, in a piece of land, we're going to build a structure, set up a whole system at scale. In this case, it's about 500. It is 5,000 kilos, so 11,000 pounds a day system, where they can produce it, and every day somebody will either like truck it around the fodder, or these same ranchers or the neighbors around it will go and pick it up. These are two models that actually really works. I'm working with some people over there in Ocala, where it's kind of the mecca of and Wellington, the mecca of the horse, racetrack horses and stuff like that, and that's kind of the things that we're looking at doing over there too.
So it seems like in terms of potential clients, racehorse owners could definitely see the ROI, or it sounds like they might have an open mind to something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a need. Obviously, those animals are used to like, eat just dry hay, concentrates. Typically, on these performer horses, they push it like to the limit with all these different concentrates and stuff. So they generate ulcers and different problems where a fodder and a fresh feed input that you can give them every day, it's something that they really can benefit from it, and the horses really appreciate it. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna run faster, but or jump higher, but it really helps from the inside out. That's for sure.
And so the fodder hub you're speaking about, is that in development, or that's one example, but there are other business models that are successfully doing this, growing it and distributing and selling to?
I've seen a few. I've seen a few working. There's a lady over there in California, and a couple over there in Florida too, that they produce and deliver fresh feed every day. We are with the company. We're working with some of these initiatives, but obviously the process and the sales cycle takes multiple actors in order to actually like get a solid project and sign it and start working on it. So it's a full coordination with our team, their team, nutritionists, vets, and stuff like that, where everything together comes to the decision and say, okay, let's do it.
And so let me ask you, I mean, part of the point of these podcasts is looking at different kinds of crops that can be grown in controlled environments.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's not uncommon for an operator to spend a lot of money to build an indoor controlled facility, and then something happens with the demand or with the market. And so I'm wondering, in this instance, I'm not sure, what's the unit that these would be delivered? Like when you sell, if you were to sell to a livestock farmer or to a racehorse owner, is it by the kilogram, by the tray? Like what unit are you selling?
Depending on the model, of course.
Yeah.
As I said, like sales model, as a fodder hub, you can sell it by the pound per day, or if it is your production, your horses, if you have a stable with 100 horses, we go ahead and install our system that will provide your feed every single day on site. And that is how we tailor our systems towards the goals and the specific amount of animals that our clients have. Yeah. So that is the uniqueness of our business. We work with different clients. We have clients all over the world where we have done like very cool stuff, like or adjust our systems for what the clients need. Like for instance, we have one in Guatemala where they had this barn and they had the second floor full of stuff, and they were like, we're gonna get rid of all of these things here and we're gonna build a fodder system on the second floor. So it's like, okay, big challenge, but doable. So we put together a lift and we installed the whole system on the second floor. So we were, uh, and in the first floor they were having all this machinery for the ranch and stuff like that. It's doable too. So that is kind of the things we differentiate our company to many others that you can have on the market. And
And is there like a going rate per pound if someone was to install one of your systems and their business model is produced and to sell to livestock farmers or any number of clients? Is there a going rate per pound for this fodder?
um, again, depending where you are. If you're in the middle of the desert, obviously you can sell it for more. But or in the middle of a harsh winter where you don't have any fresh feed and they're struggling, you can sell it for more. Now, in my experience, when I was working for a company in Colorado, we were producing feed. We had two prices. So we had 20 to 25 cents per pound of fodder when they pick it up. And I was offering around the area obviously in a certain radius where I delivered the fodder for 30 pounds, 30 cents a pound.
Got it.
That's kind of the range that you can sell it for. Now, obviously, in the high-end industry, as the horses, you can charge a little bit more because you are giving them something like it's very unique, it's very premium. So you can charge for that too. But it depends. Producing the fodder, it depends on the size of the facility, of course. Obviously, it's at scale. We have the containerized system. The biggest system that we have in Spain is 265 tons a day. So it's massive, and those ones you use is a fully automated, so you use less labor and stuff like that. So that is kind of the economy at scale that we can get. But typically, with labor included, depending where you are, it costs about 10 cents a pound to produce it normally. 5 cents a pound without labor. So from there you can have your price with labor included. Some people, I say no labor included. We offer it that way, and we communicate with 5 cents per pound of production because normally on the ranches they can relocate people that they have already hired on the ranch to operate these systems. And just as an example, that one person, one full-time job guy can manage about 5,500 pounds a day system. That is how efficient it is with just one guy working on it. And then obviously a container is like an hour and a half, and you have all those ranges.
And did you say the largest system you have produces 265 tons a day?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and that holds 12 to 13,000 heads of cattle. It's a feedlot.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Joaquin, this is fascinating. I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. If anyone is interested in looking into these kind of systems, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, definitely our emails and our website. It's eleusisfeed.com. And there you will find our emails and contact information. But yeah, happy to help. Happy to have this conversation with ranchers and keep helping them.
Excellent. Perfect. I'll go ahead and put those links in the show notes. And thanks so much for making time to speak with me today. I appreciate it, Joaquin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.